One of the things that we focus on a lot at Brand Federation, as you know, is kind of brand strategy, helping people through marketing challenges, marketing strategy, things like that. But obviously at the end of that process, somebody says, okay, we have to make something now. We have to bring this to life. And we want to talk to you about the intersection of strategy and creative work. How do you, as a creative director, take the work of people like us as strategists and use it as inspiration? Where does it go right? Where does it go wrong? What do you look for?
I'm a huge fan of a well-written strategy. For me, it's essential. I'm not an execution first and then make up the strategy to justify it type creative. I really value having that foundation, and then I think of my work really as just kind of a translation effort. If the thinking is sound, then the question is, how do you turn that thinking into a message that can motivate somebody, reach them emotionally, and stick in their heads? But the first things I'll do is, especially if I'm writing a song or a jingle, is to simply sing the brief.
Yeah.
Like take the lyrics of the brief, or take the statement, the strategy statement, the main takeaway, and do as little work as possible to change that into something hooky.
Oh, nice.
That's interesting.
Leverage the landscape of benefit.
Yes. Absolutely. You start with that
to
stuff.
drive the something. Right?
It's like cracking a code. Like bit by bit, you change boring phrases into hooky, simple phrases. And sometimes you can actually solve the problem then and there. It's just a translation problem.
Kind of fun. Now, give us an example of a time when you were working on a brief or you were working on a brand and somebody gave you a strategy and you went, okay, there's something really cool here. I can work with this.
My favorite example of that was back in Martin Agency days was the Oreo brief. Mm-hmm. It became Wonderfilled, which became a whole huge musical campaign and was all kinds of fun to work on. Great people,
beautiful stuff.
Great people worked on that. John Gibson was the strategist at the time, and I think he's there now as their head of strategy. But at the time, he was a new character, and he came up with this phrase, which was, giving an Oreo is like giving somebody a token of childlike wonder. It was, more or less was the phrase. And so the question of, what would happen if, it was like a creative exercise they gave us. What would happen if you gave this token of wonder to this celebrity or this character? And that, wonder if I gave an Oreo to, basically became the opening lyric of the entire campaign. And the song got rewritten like 30 times. And it was basically the strategy line that turned into a lyric that turned into this, great campaign, long-running campaign, global.
Yeah.
That's a very cool example of a strategy lifting creative and vice versa. What's interesting is one of the things as a strategist that I like least is when you turn over a strategy to a creative team and you get back an ad that is basically the strategy as an ad. Like it hasn't gone anywhere with it. It hasn't transcended the strategic to become something, to your term, magical.
Yeah. Well, I think strategies, because they come from clients, because they come from what we're trying to sell, what we want people to think, they're not oriented necessarily towards a consumer, towards the public. So we have to turn that, as creatives, we have to turn that into something that's essential and relevant to a consumer or a person walking down the street. And then that's when you need to translate it into, if you picture that Venn diagram, like things clients care about, things people care about, and there's like a tiny little spot in the middle. And you want to bring that spot to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.